I don't think anyone expected my book to become the UK's biggest selling YA debut of 2024. I certainly didn't. So here's how I wrote it and what I did to make it a bestseller. Hey, my name's Bill Wood. I'm the author of Let's Split Up, which was released last September in the UK. Did pretty well, if I do say so myself. It's now coming out in the US this September with a really cool sprayed edge if you want to pre-order it. It's the entire print run. It's pretty cool. It's also currently being developed for a live action television series, which of course I'll get into. But after the success of the first book, my publisher actually ordered the sequel, Be Right Back, which is out this October 9th in the UK and next March in the US, I believe. As mentioned in my last video where I discussed my journey with indie publishing and then traditional publishing with a major publisher, Scholastic, I was originally indie published, as I say, with some YA fantasies and a short story. Then Let's Split Up became my traditionally published debut, and debut is important because a publisher loves a debut. If you change genre, you're now that genre debut. If you change age range, you're now an adult debut. Love a debut, there must be some figures in it. People love debut authors. And as I said before, Let's Split Up became the fastest selling and then in the end of the year, the best selling YA debut of 2024. And I've already said this, but yeah, TV show incoming, crazy. So I'm going to start with talking about my intentions for this book, my wants for the book, how I wrote it, and then I'll get into the marketing side because I definitely think there's multiple reasons for why this book did so well. And disclaimer, of course, this is not a definitive guide. There's definitely an air of luck in this, as with everything in publishing, it's such an unpredictable industry. I have a super great team who I absolutely love, an incredible agent, but I also did have a platform at the time. It wasn't necessarily about author stuff, but it was books, so they definitely did align somewhat. But we'll get into all of that and why I think my book did so well. So we're going to take it back all the way to June 2021 when I first started Let's Split Up. I've mentioned this before, but I was rewatching the live action Scooby-Doo movie with my brother, who's quite a little bit younger than me, and it was just like a random day and we thought, let's rewatch it. And as it finished, I just remember thinking, like, I wish there was something like this dynamic, this like fun teen vibe, this group of friends solving mystery. And I couldn't really think of anything in like an older age bracket that was similar. There's the book Meddling Kids by Edgar Cantero, I believe it is, which is super adult, super dark, but there was nothing really in between that. So that day I started writing the book and actually wrote the prologue, which has barely changed since I first wrote it. I think I was so excited that I kind of just drafted the perfect prologue, and I do love the prologue. It's an amazing cold open, if I do say so myself. But I think it's also important to note that at the time I was studying film and screenwriting at uni. I was coming to the end of my first year, and I was taking pretty much every horror module I could because I love horror. I think it's just such a love for me. I love writing it and I love watching it too. And reading it, of course. And because I was writing all this horror stuff, it definitely influenced Let's Split Up, and it then planted the seed of like, oh, what about if we kind of merge the Scooby-Doo idea with like a teen horror vibe? Because I believe we might have been studying like 90s horror at the time. It's so long ago now, but Scream was definitely a film we looked at. So was I Know What You Did Last Summer, Urban Legend, all of that kind of amazing stuff. So while I actually started officially writing Let's Split Up in June 2021, some of the scenes in Let's Split Up were actually translated from other horror projects that I'd worked on at uni. There's definitely a scene, if you've read the book, you may know which one I'm talking about because it's super cinematic, it's red flashing lights, it's towards, I want to say, the just before the third act, I think it is. But that was originally a scene from a short film script that I wrote, and I kind of just loved the idea so much that I kind of just slide it into Let's Put Up and it fit perfectly. So off the bat, I think unintentionally, at the time at least, I think I had my business hat on. While I wasn't thinking about something really commercial and easy to sell like horror is, it just ended up happening. You think Scooby-Doo, especially that IP, one of the biggest TV shows and film series of all time. There's countless, I think there's something like 40 films including all the TV stuff, but that started in, I think it was 1968, so many generations have grown up with an iteration of Scooby-Doo. People know what it is, so I was like, okay, this dynamic works and it's still going today. So I knew it was a hot ticket, people wanted something like that, and it's not overdone. Yeah, at the time it wasn't. I don't know if we're going to get there, but I think we're still going strong. And then the horror genre as well, while it's probably not as accessible to most people, obviously everyone could watch Scooby-Doo, but only a certain amount of people can watch horror, and then even adults, some people just don't like it at all, which is fine, you know. But this type of horror, the YA teen slasher horror, is so so popular. Think Scream, even modern stuff like Fear Street, they are everywhere, and for good reason. They're great. And especially when it comes to film and TV stuff, horror is the one of, at least it's like famously one of the cheapest genres to make, and horror movies are normally like the gateway for a lot of filmmakers and screenwriters into the industry. So this is all like my film brain at the time, thinking about how I would make a book. And I think I also want to say as well, at the time I was studying during COVID, so a lot of my like film and TV ideas I couldn't actually put into practice because pandemic. So writing was my way to get all my creative juices out, and I love both equally, and I definitely want to get back to film stuff at some point, but I'm just loving this journey right now. But bit of a tangent, but we carry on. The first draft of Let's Split Up was finished sometime before the end of 2021. It might have been autumn time. I can't remember exactly. And I hated it. I didn't think it was right. And at this time, this book became like my heart and soul. I loved the premises. I thought there was such, I don't know, I had a good feeling. I think every writer knows when you write a book and you have a good feeling about it. And of course, it turned out I was right about this feeling. It was a combination of everything I loved. It was also a commentary on those things too. And I just thought it was special. So over the next couple of years, I actually rewrote the book from scratch, probably 4 or 5 times maybe, and every time it just wasn't right. So in the meantime, I self-published a fantasy story and a short story, and while I loved those books at the time, I've definitely got opinions on them, and I talk about it in my big publishing video. And I don't want to tread on that video too much, but I just wanted to put down the baseline. What am I saying? Put down like the track so you know what I'm referring to at least. And then during this time, after I self-published for a bit, I just fell into this rut. Nothing that I was writing I liked. Nothing was working, and it's just because I kept thinking about Let's Split Up. So I didn't write for a really long time, or if I did, I never finished anything. I was just so uninspired until I started going to more author events. And author events, I think, are such a great place if you are an aspiring author or you're just a writer to get inspired, especially if they're talking about their story to how they got published. I just find them so inspiring. I've said that 1,000 times, but it's so true. I think they're just such a great gateway if you're trying to get back into that space. I forgot which event it was in particular, but it was 2023 sometimes, and it just pushed me to get back to Let's Split Up. And it worked because by October 2023, I had a draft of Let's Split Up that I really liked. I don't know if I loved it yet, but I really liked it. And then by November, I'd done an edit, which made me like it even more. And I worked with courage to finally talk about it on the internet. So I posted a video on TikTok, and immediately I felt like all of my special thoughts about this book, my like good feeling about it was like confirmed, because people were like commenting saying, "Oh my gosh, I've been looking for something like this." And then on one fateful day, I get an email from an agent. And again, I don't want to retread all this story because I've definitely said it before. I queried at the same time as I sent a book to a publisher because they also reached out, blah, 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 blah. Now we're here. But when I sold this book to Scholastic, who are a kids and YA publisher, so I was a little apprehensive to see like if they were going to try and like not dumb down the idea, but like make it maybe a bit more accessible. Even though it's not accessible, I think it being a kids publisher, I was scared that they were going to take all the horror out of it, but they were kind of the opposite. They wanted more horror. I remember my editor saying this should be bloodier, and I was like, okay, you are a kids publisher though. I feel like you should know that. But yeah, I made my intentions clear. I wanted something that had the found family. It was really heartfelt, inclusive as well, and which in the end ended up being a really big draw for the book. Let's Split Up features a gay romance, a friends to lovers romance, which it's may not have been period accurate for the time because it is set in the early 2000s, but who cares? It's fiction. And in the end, it was such a big part of my marketing for the book, and it's what people like. I wanted the horrors of the book to be the ghouls, not the homophobia. Sure, I could have had both, but I didn't feel like it, okay? So during the editing process, I really drove home like what I wanted the book to be, because I already had I knew one of my special feelings had already been confirmed, so I was trusting myself then. So it's still my story and what I originally wrote, but I just accentuated elements. I really accentuated maybe the tropes because I thought, okay, this is going to sell well, because even though I have mixed opinions on selling books by tropes, it is where the market is at, especially TikTok, which has been such a big drive for not only my book but so many authors. I knew that I had to do that if I wanted to get my book out there. So I did. I made sure the friends to lovers element was really there, although I did twist it a bit because, of course, you've got to keep things fresh. The found family as well was definitely another big one for me, but that was always there. I just really made the friendship nice and something like you would. Everyone loves a group of friends, and I wanted my group of friends to stand out. So yes, I've already said this, but while was what I originally wrote, I also fed in some of my marketing expertise and like my film business knowledge as well because I wanted it to do well. I mean, I wanted this to be my job, and it is now, so it obviously worked. So it became really obvious to me that Let's Split Up was a modern take on like the 90s, 2000s horror teen slasher vibe with that Scooby-Doo twist to it, that friendship element. And while that's apparent in a lot of teen horror movies, I don't know, there's something just friendly and easy, like digestible about a friendship group. You don't really suspect them because you're getting all those POVs. I mean, the first book is a little bit different, but the sequel definitely. It's cozy. I think that's it. Scooby-Doo has a coziness about it, and I think maybe it's nostalgia because I watched it all my childhood, and then when my brother grew up, I got to rewatch it all. But I feel like a lot of people would agree with that. And again, while it wasn't on my mind while writing it, it was definitely something that I picked up on and I knew people would like, which is why I definitely milked it all in the marketing. So here is the marketing section. I leaned into all the tropes, as I said, friends to lovers, found family. Were there any? Those were like the main tropes I focused on because, yeah, enemies to lovers, there wasn't that. So friends to lovers was the next best thing, which I do think is better. I love friends to lovers. I think the pining, amazing. And those keywords really helped push my videos out there. And while they weren't doing amazingly, they were getting like an audience, a consistent engagement. And I knew it was helping my pre-orders. So that was my goal. And at the time, I was posting every single day, which honestly, I don't recommend because you get burnt out. And I did. It took me 3 years to get burnt out, but I did. I started posting every single day pretty much in June 2021, not about writing stuff, but book stuff. And then by 24, yeah, that's right. By 2024, I was like, okay, I am actually going to lose my sanity. So I still posted regularly because, yeah, my book was coming out. I needed to post, but I did it enough that I felt, okay, I'm marketing enough. Like, I don't feel guilty, but I'm also not going crazy. But I also want to say I didn't just post about the book. I think that's really important. There's like an untold 80-20 rule where like 80% of your content shouldn't be like ads or promoting your book and then 20% can be. I used that formula when I worked for my local Waterstones and I ran their page and our engagement was incredible. We got videos with 1 million views. It was great. I do miss doing that. It was really fun. But alas, when I did post about my book, I also made sure it was more than that. I mean, my biggest video about Let's Split Up wasn't even about me writing it or like about the book. It was about the journey. People love that journey where people get like that tugs on their heartstrings. It's like a video, pictures of myself younger with books, and then also like with Scooby-Doo merch, and then me now with like the book of my dreams. People love that shit. So I definitely leaned into that and I think that helped. And I know this video is kind of all over the place, but I want to say as well, while my book ended up doing really well for me and my publisher too, of course, it wasn't like a lead title. It wasn't like their biggest title of the year. I didn't get physical advanced reader copies, which time constraints definitely were an issue for that, but I don't think we would have got them anyway. We got some e-proofs a couple weeks before release, but the marketing really was on me. Now, I love my team and things have definitely changed since, but I'm sure they may have ran some Amazon ads maybe, but I don't know for certain. But what I did have and what they did give me was a really striking cover, and we're going to get into that because that was, I think, kind of a catalyst. A few months before release, we found out that The Works, which is a retailer in the UK, wanted to do a special edition with a really cool sprayed edge. I will grab it. Here is said sprayed edge. It's pretty. And I think because a company, this book retailer, put faith in the book and wanted to buy copies of it, and they bought quite a few copies, it kind of pushed my publisher to pick up steam almost, or put more effort into it, I guess. I had a really cool launch at an old cinema, which was amazing and a great marketing moment, but it was the book release that kind of blew everything up. The Works only announced their special editions a week before the book's release, so it wasn't until a week before that I saw some kind of oomph, you know? The book's stunning, of course, front and edge, all great. It looks amazing on the shelf. It sticks out, which is obviously super, super vital for bookstores because there's thousands, tens of thousands of books in a bookstore. And I think with a lot of genres nowadays, especially like maybe like cartoon romance stuff, they look the same and it's really hard to tell the difference. But to me, that really sticks out. And honestly, I think it's one of the reasons why it did so well. Probably one of the biggest reasons. People started posting about the book, not because it was just pretty, but also the contents. And then the sprayed edge edition got sold out, and I was then had a little panic because I thought the hype would go. I thought people were only getting it for the sprayed edge. But I found out soon that it was also because of the cover. So the standard edition, it became a hunt to find that too. That was selling out, and then in a couple of days we had a second reprint, which I was like, whoa. But then at this point, people were posting their reviews and posting about the book and the actual contents, which kind of drove more people to buy it, which honestly saved my sanity a bit because I was scared that people were going to get the book, hate it, but love the cover, you know? Then when it was established and it kind of had this, not a domino effect, but it kind of had like a steady stream of people posting about it. So that was kind of doing the marketing for me. I'd found an audience who kept posting about the book and it let me be not so on it with the marketing. And I think after 3 years of like posting super consistently, it really helped because I was getting so burnt out and it let me focus on writing. And I know that's such a super privileged position to be in, I know. And when we sold the TV rights, it only gave it another life into the book like 6 months after release. And then the sequel announcement and cover reveal, that was another thing. It's like all these little things to keep the reader interested, and maybe while they weren't like specifically targeted for certain times of the year, they were like placed so well that when the book hype was dying down, we had this announcement and then this announcement, and it really helps. But overall, there's a bunch of reasons why this book did so well, and yes, luck definitely played a part. I'm not going to diminish that at all because it's true. Publishing again is such a crazy space. It's so unpredictable, and all of this can be gone tomorrow. So I'm definitely taking it for granted. I love my job, I love my life, but I think the premise being so hooky and the thriller, I think genre especially, and the thriller horror genre is being so broad, adults, teenagers, that helped with finding the audience. And though even though it is YA and obviously good for this generation because it's set in the early 2000s, it grabs a slightly older reader. And again, while I didn't think about that, it's all those little things that add up and they're really good in hindsight. So that's how I wrote, edited, and marketed a bestseller. It's not an easy street. There's definitely moments where I felt hopeless, and honestly, I'm really scared for my US release. I know it's such a, again, privileged position to be in, but I feel like I've got this shadow and this expectation looming over me for it to perform just as well or even better because it is a lead title in the US now. But at the end of the day, I've done what I can. I'm going to keep posting about it. But here we are at the end. If you like this video, please subscribe, press the bell, like the video. And if you have any more videos you'd like to see from me, please let me know. If you have any questions, please let me know. And please considering pre-ordering Let's Split Up in the US for the really cool sprayed edges, or be right back in the UK. Actually, and in the US, but you might want to read Let's Split first. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Peace. Why did I say that? Oh my gosh.